of America is the American section of the Revolutionary Communist.
May I take some literature?
You can read it, but it is for sale. That's for free now.
It's for sale.
I know. In a
Communists
capitalist
are
country.
practicing capitalism. How much is it?
Depends. So that's all under $5. Paper's $5.
I think we can afford that.
I would say so.
Let's got my wallet somewhere we can get.
You got Venmo, Cash App. You got the link.
I like this. See, the communists have Venmo. They've got all the digital infrastructure. I like that. Well, we can do cash. What's your best book?
Oh, best book? Well, let's see. I don't want to give you one you might use. Here, how about if you want to know what we're about, brother?
That's good. Absolutely. What's this one about?
This is our paper. We write this and we produce it monthly.
How much is this?
Also $5.
Right here, bro.
All right. We'll give him a second $5. Sorry. Thank you.
Let's work together.
Cool.
Thank you. So, let me ask you. Here's my issue. This is one of my issues with Kamala Harris. I want your perspective on it. I think she has two issues. She has not stated her actual policies, and the reason I respect somebody like Bernie Sanders more than I respect Kamala, and I've said this numerous occasions, I'm not saying it just right now, is if you have convictions, at least stand by them. If you believe in single-payer health care, if you believe in an effective national health care system for all, then stand by it. But why adopt those positions 4 years ago only to back off of them today? I could disagree with you, but at least have the position and stick to it. That's sort of what my criticism is. And my suspicion is there might be some counterintuitive alliances between the so-called far left and actually segments of the so-called far right that want to stay out of foreign wars, that want to end crony capitalism and lobbying and government capture, to say that, you know what, there might be ways where you may not agree with 100% of what I say or what Donald Trump says, but you don't have to agree with 100% of what somebody says to think outside the box and vote a little bit differently. What do you think? You said I am here to listen a little bit, so I'd love to hear your guys' perspectives on why you're here and why you have your own disappointments with the current direction of the...
This is going to be able to represent us. They can't be pressured into representing us because we don't pay their bills, we don't pay Kamala's, Trump's, we don't pay yours, because they all have financial backers. That's why we need a workers' party to take down the two ruling class parties, one that doesn't have funding from these big businesses and is instead funded by its membership.
Yeah, I mean, you realize the convention here, I don't need to preach to you then, but I mean, who buys the sweets, right? Talking about populist talk from the floor of the convention, stand up for the workers and break up the very companies that are sponsoring the whole event, right? So there's a bit of a paradox there. But, all I would say is...
A paradox in what exactly?
Of controlled rhetoric, right? You have a lot of corporate interests controlling the way in which they actually assail those very corporate interests, which is kind of interesting. It is. I think we might be saying something similar. It's all a bit of a charade.
Yeah, I would say one thing that is definitely we're not similar on is you were talking about unification of like the far right and the far left. There is no.
I don't know about unification, but there may be some common threads.
Well, we would say this: there is no perfect American communism, American socialism like this. These other little parties popping up. It has to be international. We aren't here for the success of American working class, because the only way we can be there for the success of the American working class is the international working class in Canada and in Mexico. If you had some, and now we don't believe in this, but let's say there was some perfect, socialist America, it would immediately get pushed out by China, by Russia, by Europe. So we need an international socialist revolution in order to secure a true victory for the working class.
Woo!
Vivek, what are your thoughts on reparations for Black Americans?
So here's my perspective. I was asked about this when I came to the south side of Chicago a year ago, and my position on this has not changed. I'm against race-based reparations because I think it will create more division,
what about race-based discrimination that occurred in this country for
the last
years?
Let me just clarify one aspect. I think there was a time and place for it in the Reconstruction era. But today, when we actually bring back racial reparations, it actually causes greater discrimination, not more. I think we're seeing a rise in anti-Black and I think other forms of racism in the country. But part of the reason I think we're seeing it is there's no better way to foster racial animus than to take something away from someone based on their skin color.
So don't give Black people justice because it'll make other people upset.
Well, because it's going to create more division and be self-defeating. I think it's actually going to set Black Americans back because it will cause. I mean, actually,
but Black Americans continue to live in that section.
I want to move out of the.
example.
I want to move out of the middle of this just because I feel
Can I
like.
have a
So let me say
conversation?
this:
Yeah, absolutely.
you're not going to be able
Address
to
your
solve.
question.
You are not going to be able to solve this problem under capitalism. You're always going to be coming up with these little band-aid issues. That is why the only way to truly get reparations for the indigenous people, for the Black Americans in this country, is a socialist revolution. Is by seizing the means of production and letting that community give themselves reparations. We don't need to be asking for, oh, please God, would you maybe give me something? No, the workers of the world need to take it. Look at the fires in Maui. Oh, maybe Oprah and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will help out. Fuck no, fuck that. The working class of Hawaii can rise up and take care of themselves and take the reparations they need. And the same what can be true in Chicago and in America, in all of the Americas internationally, and that is also linked with the liberation of Palestine. We kill the American war machine here. Internationally, it's over.
Mr. Vivek, do you
Well, all
think
you
they
white
brought
people
out
have lived off of the capitalism built off of slavery.
Out of respect, I just want